Hello. So I'm making this video basically because I've been seeing a lot of misconception about what the Buddha taught in my comments and in general, you know. So I would like to address one of the biggest misconceptions, and yeah, that's about it. So let's get right into it. Let me just let this noise pass. Okay, fast enough. So yeah, basically I have seen that a lot of people think that seeing no self once, or having a really strong experience of no self, or even seeing no self deeply, means that's it, you're done. That's what the Buddha meant by liberation. And well, I don't know how to break it to you, but that's just the first fetter of 10 fetters the Buddha talked about. Ask yourself this. See, the Buddha's liberation, although it sounds pretty bleak, is someone who does not return to samsara, someone who is completely finished with it, right? He often spoke, or it's often spoken in the Nikayas, that someone who has become an Arahant, completely unfettered, will not become, like, someone who is completely unfettered does not continue lay life. Usually they go forward, they go forth into robes, into monasticism. And there's also like this funny thing where people have like a mystical experience or a non-dual experience, or they have a glimpse of not self, and they mistake that for actually fully seeing through the self. But that's, see, why did the Buddha prescribe vipassana meditation? Because one little glimpse, or one even deep glimpse, is not enough to fully see through self-view. Because you need a sufficient amount of insight into not self in order to fully break that fetter. Otherwise it just becomes another viewpoint, another idea. So the most dangerous trap on the spiritual path, where Mara gets people often, is there's nothing to do, only see this and you're done. All of these things, all of these practices, spiritual paths, whatever, that claim there's nothing to do, are traps. They're clever tricks by Mara to get you to stop practicing. When in your life has something happened without, has something really deep happened without sufficient conditions being met? Even if for some people it looks like they become an Arahant out of nowhere, the groundwork has been done before. They have sufficient wisdom and insight from before they even ran into the path. Don't mistake that, because if you're not a monastic, if you haven't gone forth, if you still seek out pleasant experience, if you still delight in any subtle way in what's pleasant and subtly reject what's unpleasant, there doesn't have to be a self, right? The 5 aggregates are not self yet, they keep running. That's not the point of Buddhism. Self-view is only the first fetter. So what I'm trying to say is, are you sure? Or is it just a convenient excuse to skip out on the difficult practice? We're not practicing this to become something. The practice is meant to gain insight into not self, into dependent origination, into the Four Noble Truths, into impermanence, into dukkha. And that very insight arises in us, this enchantment, this passion, and that leads straight to liberation. Why do I sound like I'm parroting the Buddha's words? Because I have come to realize over time that the Buddha is the only one who laid it out straight. He wasn't eel-wriggling, right? What is eel-wriggling? Eel-wriggling is saying it can't be put into words. It's beyond words. It can't be described. Basically, using evasive statements like it's not this, it's not that, it's neither, both. And these statements often get attributed to the Buddha in later traditions, which is also fascinating because in the original Nikayas, he never eel-wriggled. He did have some unanswered questions, but even those he answered with the simile of the fire in the end. My point is, don't eel-wriggle with yourself or others. Don't wriggle like an eel when you get asked a question. Answer it. And funnily enough, when you sit in vipassana meditation, or just when you look at things clearly, you see that the Buddha was right, and there's no really other better way to put it than the Nikayas put it. That's the whole point. An Arahant achieves liberation under the guidance of a Buddha. A Buddha has practiced for many lives and discovers the path themselves in a life where the Dharma has been forgotten. The liberation is the same, but the Buddha never denied practice. He was actually really adamant about practice. I deeply trust the Buddha myself. I have come to realize his teaching is the only path that leads to complete liberation. Any other teaching is just a spiritual bypass. This may sound harsh to some, and that's fine. Keep practicing anything you feel is worthy. See where it leads you. I'm not saying other practices don't lead to insight. That is not true, but they do not lead to liberation. They lead to refined states of consciousness, to a refined feeling of freedom. They may lead to insight into non-self, non-separation, but the Buddha cuts deeper. See, because while others say it's all one, or some say it's separate, the Buddha rejected both of those views, and he pointed to dependent origination. Because of this, that arises. And now if we look at our experience, you don't need to label things as this and that to see that things arise due to conditions. Now some people may use the cope, it's all just waves in the one ocean. But tell me, have you ever seen the one ocean, or have you only seen the waves? Like, could this video be possible without a camera, someone speaking, the Dharma existing, there being a space where words can be spoken? Those are conditions. That's why this video arose. So it did not arise from some essence, from some source. It arose from conditions. My point is, don't let some deep experience or insight trick you. You're already done. That is the most potent trap. Because you feel a sense of comfort or freedom, or even because you may experience pleasant things without clinging to them, you mistake that for the goal. But the goal of Buddhist practice was never to enjoy experience without clinging. It is to become completely untethered, unreliant, free from the experience, to put experience, to end experience, to finish the work, to arrive at the ultimate peace. Nibbana, the unconditioned, the deathless. So my point is, ask yourself this: do I still delight in pleasant things? Do I still seek pleasure over discomfort? If the answer is yes, you have not finished the path. Because if you see clearly, you will see that even the subtlest delight leads to rebirth. And rebirth is dukkha, because you have to go through loss, through sickness, through death. See, and that's why the fetter of ignorance hasn't been uprooted yet. Perhaps you really did uproot the fetter of self-view. Do you even know the other 10 fetters? The second fetter, clinging to rites and rituals, thinking mantras, manifestation, spells, just some magic shit basically, leads to liberation. The third fetter, doubt in the Buddha's Dharma. That might sound like a clever trick the Buddha used to get people to follow him, but it cuts deeper. The third fetter means you have seen with clear wisdom and vision that what the Buddha taught is the only way to liberation. Then we have the fourth and fifth fetter, ill will and sensual desire. If you still harbor any ill will towards anything, even subtly, even a subtle annoyance, you have not broken the fetter. If you still chase pleasant experiences and delight in them deeply, you have not broken the fetter of sensual desire. Then we have the 5 higher fetters. Restlessness. Is your mind still restless? Does it still grasp after notions such as this state of bliss is better? Okay, I explained that one poorly, my bad. My point is your mind always at ease or is it not? Does it still feel like there's something to figure out or does it feel final? Explore that deeply. Can you hold a deep meditative state for a long time without the mind jumping around? If not, your mind is still restless. Then we have clinging to formless states. Do you prefer deep states of meditative absorption or mystical experiences or states of bliss? If you cling to such conditioned states, you are not free. Then we have clinging to existence itself. Do you still prefer existence to non-existence? Does the thought of cessation, of existence ending, scare you? Then you're still clinging to existence. We also have conceit. Do you still compare? I know more than him. I have arrived at a deep insight. My point is there still comparison? Even subtle comparison. If there is, conceit has not been uprooted. And then there's ignorance. Do you still see samsara and nirvana as 2 sides of the same coin? Do you not see the further shore? If not, if you still merge the two, then you're still caught within ignorance, because nirvana has not been clearly recognized as being a safe refuge away from samsara. My point is, people who speak as if they've achieved the liberation the Buddha spoke of, yet remain within conceit, ignorance, clinging to subtle and formed states, restless, delighting in sensual pleasures, looking down upon others, not seeing self-view completely, having doubt in the Buddha's Dharma, and believing things such as mantras, or manifestation, or positive energies lead to liberation, to the uprooting of the fetters, of the defilements, then one has not arrived at liberation, but is simply wearing chains made of gold. See clearly, see the dukkha, be diligent. Do not fall for the trap of I'm already done, because if you still return, you are not already done. That is not what the Buddha taught, that is not what he spoke of. If anyone says otherwise, they are wrong. The Buddha never said that. That's all. Thank you for watching.